Hello, friends, and welcome to the Elise Edwards Experience. Thank you for your patience on this Thursday, August 31st. This is episode 4. This will be a very woo, not a fully woo episode. It's going to be as woo or as non-woo as we want it to be. So if you're not ready to hear about some astrology, some personal experiences, learn some truths through storytelling and not just linear setup, punchline, comedy, X, Y, and Z, feel free to check out one of the multitudes of programs that are going on YouTube right now. Not a problem. Again, I am Elise Edwards, aka Elise Anamkara, aka DJ Jouet, and this is my podcast where I am just bringing on just my favorite people, essentially people that are doing stuff that I really love. Oh my gosh, I just saw that the title says Jennifer Y. If Sacred Comedy, which I think is perfect, and also a little gem that the universe gave us for Mercury retrograde. But yeah, so my guest is a awesome human being. She's a founder of Hathor Productions, a production company, as well as the founder and host of Sacred Comedy Show and Ritual Circle. And we're going to be talking to her today of just about like what makes her her and what makes the universe go round and how her full moon was. Also, full moon blessings to you all. I see you guys coming in. Thank you so much. If you would like to support the show, please share and like and subscribe so that I can get my viewership up on YouTube. Also, I have a Patreon, which is at Patreon at Elise Anamkara, spelled like it is in the bottom of my screen. You can check that out there. I will be posting more stuff about the full moon today, stuff that I didn't get to yesterday, Sabian symbols, blah, blah, blah. For those of you who check me out on Ray's podcast, yes, I know Ray's going on in 30 minutes on the Shuli Network. We send him love, and I'm sure it will be just as Ray can be. Yeah, I'm actually going to be on the Sacred Comedy Show this in September, on September 21st, which is a Thursday. It's a 7:30 show. You can go to I think it's in here, but it's I also put it on my Twitter and on my Instagram. It's on Eventbrite. It's Sacred Comedy, and you can use promo code Elise for a discount. Oh, I still have Lissa's name on here. Wait a minute. Hold up. And anyway, without further ado, this person is super rad. I'm so excited to finally talk to her in person and then actually finally meet her in person when I do her show in September. But without further ado, please welcome the wonderful Jennifer Y.
Hey!
Hello, Jennifer.
What's up? Hi,
What's
everybody.
happening? Oh my gosh, you're so well lit and gorgeous, and I'm just like over here looking like a fucking hot ass mess that like crawled out of a dumpster. At least I took a shower, but if I looked as misty as I do right now and had not showered, I would be like, I'm so sorry, public. Like I would just be like, you know what? Tune off now. Just someone like pull the plug on my internet connection. But yes, hello, you're lovely, and well, great to finally meet you. Thank you. It's so wonderful to meet you face to face.
Let me just say, I love that our last conversation after like 30 minutes, I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm just very high right now.
And I was like, oh my God, me too. I was like, and you're like, I kind of like waked and baked, and I don't usually, and I was like, I haven't waked and baked in like years. And I don't know what happened, but we both were interfacing and having like a production phone call. And then we were both like, you know what, but like full disclosure, I'm kind of toasted. And then it was like, dude, yes.
I was like, I can't give details. I don't know what's going on. It was one of those days. Yeah.
That's so funny. It really was. It just kind of like started, just like, I don't know, backwards. Also, I just want to say, which are you at the Jennifer Y on everything? And also, am I saying her name?
It's Jennifer Way.
Way. Sorry, like Jennifer Way.
A way to go, not a not a question.
Mm-hmm.
No, so it's so on Instagram, I'm at Sacred Comedy.
Okay.
And I should probably put that. I'm really horrible
That's
at
okay.
marketing, as you can tell. I'm good at lighting, but I'm bad at marketing.
Great at lighting. Your production skills are phenom.
Yeah,
And we'll get into your background and like,
oh
production
yeah.
and stuff like that too, if you don't mind.
Oh
Those are kind of
yeah,
things I want to talk
I'm an
about.
open book. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. And so yeah, I'm just gonna put on Instagram that you're at Sacred Company on Instagram, so they can also check out the show. And yes, everyone, please, if you are in New Jersey, Jersey City, it's super close to the
super close.
We're PATH train and everything. Like
we're a 4-minute walk from the Journal Square PATH train, which is really quick and easy if you're not scared of New Jersey or the PATH train. It's really quick. Like it's a good.
I haven't been there, and I haven't. Should I be afraid of New Jersey now? Give me the down low, because I haven't been there in a while.
Listen, Jersey City is kind of known. It's known as Chill Town, which is a little cheesy, but we've been taken over by all of the New York City people. Anyway, I mean, I'm from New York, so I definitely, but it is very cool. Like it's very, like, we've got great restaurants. I guess that's like the whole, there is a vibe.
That's the sell.
Yeah, that's the sell. And honestly, it's like it's kind of it is a little more peaceful here, because we don't have this sort of crazy frantic energy of New York City. We're kind of like, oh, we give up. It's New Jersey. Who cares? We know what everyone thinks of us, so it's fine.
Wow. That's
just surrender to New Jersey, you guys.
just surrender to the Jers, yes, and stay hydrated. Yeah, I like New Jersey. I have never.
New Jersey. It's my favorite.
I really enjoy it.
I've lived a lot of places, and I have to say, this was one of my favorite places I've ever lived. Yeah, I won't go into that.
Well, what other places have you lived? Let us know.
Long Island. No, I'm from Long Island originally.
Okay.
And then I went to school upstate in Ithaca. No, not Cornell, Ithaca College. And I lived in LA for a little while. I've traveled a whole bunch. I lived in Paris for about a year. I lived on a bus for 3 months. I've done a lot of little things. I've done a lot of things, which is why I have a lot of like surface level skills. But yeah, so, and California, I mean, New Jersey is kind of like, it was where we settled to have kids. So that was like a big factor. But
nice place to have kids, manageable.
It's pretty manageable. I mean, we moved here because there's family here, so.
That makes kids more manageable.
That makes kids, yeah.
It takes.
I am not high, by the way. I'm fine.
Okay. I'm not either. Like not yet, unless you count like any residual whatever from my moon ritual yesterday.
I'm definitely feeling a fog over this summer, but yeah.
Things are slow. Like things are slow. But they're not slow like they're slow. They're purposefully slow. I mean, you can't have all these retrogrades and not be like, no, there's a slowdown for a reason. There's a slowdown because we are in a complete state of reconstruction, reassessment. I was born with 5 natal retrogrades. So actually, I guess it's just 4. Let's see, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, 4 natal retrogrades. And there was a lot of things changing my year. There was a lot of literally things that we couldn't go forward with. But actually, I think a lot of the things that we are having to take a second look at now are things that were set in motion the year that I was born, actually. So I always tell people to look at their natal chart, especially if you're not ready to go into the minutia. At least take a look at like, do you have a lot of retrogrades, or was everything going at a, full clip, full steam ahead? Because that will really tell you a lot about just kind of like the conditions that you were born into. just on a societal whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know anything about what my retrogrades were. I just know I'm dominated by Gemini, which usually brings on an uh-oh from a lot of people. But,
Is it a Gemini moon?
No, actually
Okay.
Pisces moon.
Amazing. And we just had a Pisces moon. So
yeah, I felt a lot of release kind of, I think, with this full moon. But I'm a Gemini sun, Gemini rising, Gemini and Mercury in Gemini, Venus in Gemini.
whoa.
Yeah. Pretty
Whoa.
heavy.
Wow.
Pretty heavy
Pretty
talking.
heavy.
So like people are like, stop talking so much. I'm like, I physically can't.
You're like, I can, but when I do, I'll start talking like to myself, and then you'll be pissed that you don't have my attention.
I know. Yeah.
That's how I always talk about Geminis, when people are like, oh, they're like super outgoing, they're super social, whatever. And then I'm like, yeah, until people are like, oh, at first I'm like, I'm in a room with a Gemini and I feel like I'm being talked to by two people, because like they're just coming at me hot and fast, like the info is just coming and going, and we're riffing and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like the Gemini goes inward, or like is taking it in, like it's the twins turning in and conversing with each other. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, am I the third wheel? Like, did something happen that I didn't know? And people don't realize that be Gemini's like MO also in a lot of ways.
Really is. And we're really, really great people to have ADD to really like exemplify that. That's just how I live. Like, I almost don't even want to call it ADD. It's literally just how I am.
Exactly. And it's only considered like neural divergent or like behaviorally atypical because of how everything else is. And we're like, no, I'm just am.
I'm also like I am reading the comments, and I'm just like, okay, not a deadhead. I am not Kathy Griffin. I have been mistaken for her.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, not mistaken for her, but people just associate. They see red hair and they're like, oh, are you like Annie or like Wendy's? Or, I mean, obviously that's dating me because Annie is no longer a redhead. So.
Okay, this is interesting. Stealth Chaos, they never caught the Gemini.
What is that?
Which Gemini? Are we talking about like the Zodiac Killer here or something like that? This is an interesting one. You honky deadhead. Are you a deadhead?
No.
On a scale of 0 to 10.
-50. I'm just kidding. So my sister is a big deadhead, so respect. And I have friends who are, like a friend even who's doing like a documentary on the Grateful Dead, sort of.
Cool.
But yeah, respect, but no, not a redhead. I'm not a redhead, not a deadhead.
You're not a redhead or a deadhead? Is that what's happening here?
No. Definitely a redhead, not a deadhead.
Stop giving her labels, chat. What the hell? Okay.
Label away.
Clarifying. Yeah.
That's on you, though.
Yeah, if it makes you feel comfortable, I guess.
Take it in. That's okay.
I guess you can. Okay, so I do want to
get to the list.
Yeah, let's just get to the list. I'm going to try to stay linear in my obviously non-linear process, but okay. So yeah, just like tell us like who you are, what you do. I see you have founder Hathor Communications in there. So just give us the as much of an elevator pitch to as extrapolate as much as you want.
Sure. So a Generation Xer from the East Coast. I went to school for TV production, wanted to be a producer forever. This was a long time dream. Wanted to be a documentarian, really. Fell into a lot of interesting internships. Couldn't break it into the business. So settled for administrative work. Again, didn't have the penis for getting into the TV business. There were a lot of interviews where it was between me and a guy, and didn't get it.
The dude got it.
Didn't get it. It was hard to discount that as part of my experience. Although, and it is the truth. And then really just kind of started working for different kinds of media companies, a lot of administrative work. So bookkeeping, business stuff, really places I shouldn't be. And eventually human resources, got very, I know,
sorry.
it's horrible. Got very burnt out. Again, I'm not the person who should be doing that stuff. But
I know, me neither.
I still need a
I'm
job.
Like,
so
yeah, I do too. So anyone
need a
who
job.
wants to hire us, like we have
Yeah,
administrative
please,
whatever, but
we
we're
could do
actually
anything. I'm
really
so ready to just.
we're really just here to make whatever you got work better
Oh
and
yeah, I
actually
can do it
be
with my
better.
hands tied behind my back at this point.
Yeah. And please don't make
really
us do the drudgery. I know.
Yeah,
I'm right there
I
with
mean,
you. Okay.
I've always been a weird kid. I was always into putting on plays in my driveway. Like I was always creating worlds. I was into art. I was into all those kinds of things. And I knew there was something weird and different about me. And I kind of, now looking back, went full on into like woo shit. Like, so really started investigating psychic phenomena. The question that came to me to sort of start this journey was like, okay, I know my parents are going to die. This is literally what it was. It was like, I know my parents are going to die soon, or eventually, and I want to know that I can talk to them. So that was to like bypass grief. It was like, let me just hack death. So I really just wanted to explore that in my world. I did a training, I did a mentorship, I went to YouTube school. I did a lot of
You did.
of course. But I really when will you be appearing on I don't know. Anyway, yeah, see, distracted. I will address all these questions. I would love to. So I started getting into psychic work and channeling. That was really the most exciting and fascinating thing for me. It was no surprise that it came pretty easily to me. And I learned about my psychic abilities really because I had just pushed them down for so long, and I didn't know that that's what they were. I just thought I was nuts. So I started working as an intuitive consultant. I still work as an intuitive consultant. I don't sell my stuff because feels icky.
Yes.
So I was doing that for a little bit and also working in HR. And then I left the corporate world. Thank God. And then my mom passed away. So that was a great experiment in grief. I'm like, it's cool. She's right here. No. But that was a very important experience for me to have during that journey. Not one I wanted, obviously. Nobody wants that. So as I kind of took the psychic stuff, I got into podcasting as well. So I have a podcast called the Self-Consciousness Podcast. It's about anxiety, being nervous, and also consciousness. And we discuss all things psychic. I saw a lot of interesting people coming out as spiritual gurus and leaders, and it disgusted me because I just didn't like it. It just felt like goop. I'm just going to say goop. There you go. So thank you for writing that. So I was just kind of like, this isn't spiritual healing work. This is influencer work. This is marketing. This is bullshit. This is getting
algorithm. And
I, unfortunately, I rejected a lot. That's why I'm in the void right now. I actually just wrote down some wisdom that came through while I was looking at your questions. Because there's a lot about that I just didn't accept. I didn't accept the world the way it is, unfortunately, or fortunately. So over the years of doing the podcast and then also working with clients individually, I got to know a lot of people who were in the comedy world and had podcasts. So one of my favorite people in the world is Karen Rontowski, and Karen has a podcast called Paranormal Karen. Yeah, we're totally in the void, Gordon. And she does psychic stand-up. Like she'll do tarot readings with the audience. And then I just got introduced to,
sorry, this is
that's so funny. I love it.
Bring it back again.
But I just got introduced to a lot of people who were kind of bringing together comedy and spirituality. And then in 2018, 2019, I was doing Akashic Records like training with my good friend Andy Murphy. And I had a vision during that time. I work a lot with Egyptian deities. I am a devotee to Hathor and to Sekhmet. They're my, I mean, I would be nowhere without them. And developing a relationship, I don't consider them coming in and being like, oh, hey, Jen, it's me. I do feel an energy when I connect in with them. So it's a familiar energy that is the same one every time. And then I get downloads from them as well. Chants, movements, all this weird stuff, which is awesome because I have friends who do the same thing and they get the same chants and movements, and it's really crazy.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to send you. I was just listening to it this morning. I only had like 5 seconds, but Pam Gregory, the astrologer, had this guy on who has been working with kind of like on the scientific side, just because he's talking about like not just like fault lines and energy, whatever. He's really trying to get like, so that all like the left brain, like, let's just say also patriarchy. Yeah. Okay, let's just put it all together. Just being like, I'm gonna give you this amount. Like, oh, are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay. We're going to give you. He was like, I want to be able to get out like down to using scientific method ways for you to be able to just put this energy like indisputable energy existence and its own like patterning and whatever in your pipe and smoke it, so that you can leave the rest of us alone. That like you don't have to integrate the rest, but the rest of us are going to be experimenting on ritual coming together and focusing on different things like at a time, like having like not just energy consciousness, but a dream group, a dream, like a people coming together and discussing dreams and like sitting in like group meditation. And so that you can put all like the broadband energy, like all the information that you as an individual receiver of consciousness get. And you have a group that is ritualized coming together to like put the information back into how it's supposed to, like what the whole message is. Yeah. And that you, and yeah, so it's like a dude realizing that this is like the feminine ritual. And then he's like, what can I do as a dude to be like, or to at least like one, create a foundation, experiment with it with myself. And then what can I do with like my dude mind and my dude privilege as a whole that will help have a like indisputable foundation for like feminine energy to come to do what it needs to do. I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love sorry, I just read what you honky wrote.
What the you honky wrote? You
Egyptians apparently walked in a unique way. Yeah, they totally
Thank you.
Well, I've seen a lot of Egypt. I remember as that's cute.
These people are wild.
I love it. I did have a dream years ago that I mean, I must have been like a teenager. And I remember, and it was one of the dreams where that felt very real. And I was floating in the air. And I was over a body of water and I saw large statues. And I know it's Abu Simbel. And it took years for me to realize that what that place was when I saw it. And there was water near it. Abu Simbel is where I'm really bad at like facts and history. I love science, by the way. But it's basically where like you've got the large sort of
the four statues. Is it the four and the front of the temple, and the water has since receded? I was just talking about this with my.
I didn't know that there was water there. Like I had seen it, but like in the dream, I went over the water and into the sunset. But I was on my back and I was literally feet first going into the sun. And when I look at that dream and I ask about that dream, it was me transitioning and it, like I was literally like how like a dead person would be sort of just traveling over the water, and I could feel the wind. I could feel the sun. I love those kinds of dreams. But anyway, there was a lot that tied me to Egypt since I was a little kid, but I don't think that that's very rare. I think a lot of people have some kind of special ties to Egypt. I will say I'm not just another white lady saying that. I am. And my dad, and I'm half North African, so I'm not completely that far. My dad is Moroccan.
Wow.
My family is very
You're an alabaster Moroccan, if I may say that. And
well, my mom's family is Russian.
Oh,
so,
wow.
But yeah, Sephardic.
No wonder. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. No wonder. Okay, so I have to say, my entree to you, one, I just have to say thank you so much for one, sharing that with us. Two, letting me know how you got into like who's that comic who does like the psychic whatever.
Karen Rontowski.
Yeah, Karen Rontowski. I really need to like get in touch with her. But I know I learned about you from Jessa Reed.
You learned about me from Jessa, which is hilarious because I love Jessa and I'm like obsessed with her.
I learned about her through you because she shared a picture of Sacred Comedy on her Instagram, and like in quarantine, like in 2022, I guess, beginning of like 2022, it was like pretty. I want to say it was like a year and a half before I actually interfaced with you, and I saw it, and I just texted her, and I was like, dude, where is that? Like, sign me up. I was like, the only kind of comedy I can face doing is this kind of ritual something. I was like, I'm done.
Quickly, like the vision that I had, which of course I digress, but I'll just squeeze this in. The vision that I had was priestesses standing outside of the temple. I could see columns and they were all sort of forming. You could see they were organizing for something. I could see like long light gowns and they were all just like huddled and they were cracking up. Like they were laughing hysterically. And I remember asking, what is this? Like, what does that mean? And the answer was like, you don't think people had a sense of humor in ancient Egypt? Like, you don't think that, like, you guys are so caught up in this spiritual healing and all of this stuff, you take it way too seriously. And that stuck with me for a really long time. And I was like, fuck, we do take it seriously. Like, this shit is funny. Like, this healing journeys and all this bullshit. And not to mention the New Age movement has just so much like ripe for being made fun of.
Just totally, yeah.
And it's happening more and more because it's spreading out. Like, so many people are really like, I had my spiritual awakening in 2021, and like now I have like 7 million followers, and I've written 4 books. Okay, I'm very bitter,
and I make economic or like ecologically, like I make like animal safe press on nails or something that.
Yeah, I'm so through with the way the
commodification of spirituality. It's like we haven't even addressed it. We haven't integrated it or reintegrated it in any meaningful way. Stop trying to do this thing. And so then when people actually have real offerings, let's say like spiritual consulting, or even if it's just like augment, like I always tell people for astrology, I'm like, don't fire your therapist. Allow an astrologer to help you navigate through what you can then bring into your therapist's office. Because otherwise, unguided, you're like, they basically, it's, I mean, psychology is in a lot of ways taking like a realization.
People are just, I'll tell you what I think about when I see all this shit on Instagram and everything.
New Age adjacent. We're ancient, bringing it back. Like, it's never been brought back.
We have to go smaller. We have to go smaller. We have to go less. We have to, this isn't about running out there. This is why it's difficult to do like a comedy show. So I started the comedy show because I was like, I knew that I needed like a live event, in-person event, especially post-COVID, just to help me sort of realize that, and I was like, well, I want to do a festival. I want to do a festival where it's like stand-up and then also healers. And we just kind of bring that together because laughter is so healing. I love that you're smoking. I really want one. So I just kind of like, I was like, all right, well, let me start small. Let me just look for a venue in Jersey City and let me just get this thing rolling. So we're in our first year. We've done about 6 shows, took a break over the summer. And yeah, we do it once a month, again, with with the exception of the summer. And we get 3 comics, and we do mostly female comics. We're not exclusive, but I started going to a lot of shows in Jersey City, because I hadn't been to comedy shows in a really long time. And I was like, oh, it's a sausage party. No offense, I like sausage. It's all vegan sausage.
Fuck
It's
yeah.
really good. And I adore all of there's a really beautiful, wonderful comedy scene in Jersey City, in and around New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
These are amazing people, supportive, and the majority are guys for sure. And I adore every single one of them. And they really respect what we're doing with Sacred Comedy. They are, they're phenomenal. But I noticed that most of these shows, there's like maybe one woman, maybe out of 10, so this was an effort to bring women to the forefront, to also create somewhat of a temple, and not a physical temple, but who knows, at some point. Eventually. And that's why we're doing the circles as well, because I believe that you can approach comedy from a place of healing. I don't think you have to be completely fucked up and suicidal and depressed to be good at comedy. I know that that's the norm, and I know that that's the tradition.
Yeah, like look at Jay Leno. Like he seems pretty well put together.
We're looking at maybe a century less. There was definitely comedy and slapstick and that kind of performance for a long time, but the domination of the comedy world as an art form really started in the, what do we say, like 1940s, radio into TV. And that has been dominated by men, which again, you guys took it. You took the bull by the horns. Great. We didn't. We were like, we're going to stay back here, but fine. Like, go for it. I guess I'm saying this now because I've had like a really rough bro summer. Like a lot of at every corner there were
rough bro summer instead of a hot girl summer. You had a rough bro summer.
It was just a rough bro summer because it was like, okay, how much of my own masculine is in this? Because I do believe, for me, a huge part that everyone has to do, masculine and feminine, exists in everybody. And I have to really figure out how to heal my internal masculine. So if I'm having shitty experiences with the masculine, I kind of have to look to myself, and, not to like give anyone a pass. But it was rough this summer because there's a lot of masculine, just like, why do you have such an ego with this whole Sacred Comedy thing? I'm like,
because it's necessary
I created
to create something outside of myself.
This thing came out of me. All right. Yeah. 2 people came out of me as well. It's like and I really didn't want to get angry, but I was getting angry over the summer. I was like in a business meeting with someone. I was at a coffee shop with someone having a business meeting, and we were talking about Sacred Comedy. No, I'm not trying to transcend those dualities just yet. No, absolutely not.
They need to be
integrated. I'll tell you why. Because there has to be a balancing. There has to be a balancing. In the same way that, there's, we had a Black Lives Matter movement, and people living in a white body can't really understand what it's like to be a Black person. I don't even begin to act like I know, but I can be more sensitive. So for guys, the similar thing needs to happen. There's a lack of understanding of what it takes to be in a patriarchal, oppressively patriarchal system that overvalues men and male people over females. We see our rights are being fucking taken away. That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good to know that people give less and less and less of a shit about women. But they love to kind of come out with that sort of like, well, don't be sexist towards us. It's like, then you're doing what you say you hate. But it's like, no, there's an existence that men can have without even things coming up for them. Like, you can go running at night. you can go walking at night. I don't know about you, but in my town, there's a woman getting killed probably every month. Like a woman's body being dumped by the side of the road. Like those are very real things that women live with. So that can't be discounted. Women have to stand up and they have to kind of take their voice and they have to call attention to themselves. And that is like such a weird place to be as a woman coming out and speaking their truth. And when I look at female comedians, I'm like, I could never do it. I absolutely love that. Sorry, I went on a rant.
No, I love this rant. And I love that you brought up Black Lives Matter because it's a similar thing. Like people don't understand, like if you are what I call a like an under-melanated person, that you have, there are things that you don't even have to consider that other people have to consider.
It's like when you
clock
hear
in, it's part of their
people being like, oh, why does everything always have to be about race? It's like wrong thing to say.
Yeah. Like I was like super an asshole about it. Like the little comedy that I did do during quarantine was like, oh, I think there might actually be a change in the world because we're seeing white men starting to be treated like black people or women. Like they're starting to feel like, oh wait, this system that I've like unconsciously benefited from is starting to like trash me too. Cool.
And I benefited from a system, obviously.
Exactly.
Being white. I know that. I mean,
I totally
went to
agree.
college, didn't do much with the degree.
I totally agree that race and sex are both things that are used to divide us. Sure. And I think that they're continuously used to divide us, so that we aren't able to check in on things that are like, I'm like how well integrated is my masculine and feminine energies? Am I doing my part to just be me? It's just harder and harder to just be our authentic whole selves in the world. And until that, how the suffering of that like people are able to like allow it to resonate in them and force the change, like you kind of have to get angry about it. You have to let your ego engage and be like, I'm not taking this anymore.
And this is where Sekhmet comes in, everybody.
Oh really?
Sekhmet comes in strong for this shit. I had a night where I was surrounded by men and granted got a little too high and like paranoid. And then we had this like crisis happen in this space. And I was like, I'm the only woman here. And then something happened and we thought someone was getting killed and everyone freaked out. And I started shaking like uncontrollably. I've never felt that scared in my life. And then I was kind of like working with Sekhmet and the voice came in very hard and very strong, like, bitch. You do not need to be scared of these men. You do not need to have that fear. Like, what are they going to do? Kill you? Okay. So what? That's the worst that can happen. Big deal. So like as a woman, once you accept that fear, this man could kill me, which is a very real thing to fear. Then what's left? Fuck that. Fuck it. Come at me, bro. Like you learn to build a strength within you that is a deeply feminine strength. That is a knowledge that you are far more expansive in your physical body, in your spiritual body, your life experience as a woman. Because of course we've all come in as both. We've all been here before. I've been a man, you've been a man, like, oh yeah, you dudes, you've been women, you've experienced it. Your soul has experienced it. So right now, what can we do in this time and space? We first off have to recognize the reality. We can't move into this bypassing of like, oh, but it's just division and like masculine and feminine, blah. And like, oh, you just rise above it, live in the fifth dimension. It's like, no, you cannot exist you have to exist in the third dimension. We came here to human, but you have to step outside of yourself and you have to understand the world as it is. That's just, you have to understand that. I understand the world as it is. I understand that I've been passed over for promotions. I understand also that I made myself smaller. So those two things exist. Is it my fault that I made myself smaller? Yeah, and no. So there's so many things that we have to consider, but you cannot discount a woman's experience in this world, especially a fucking mother's experience. It's like, sorry, when you've had people coming out of you, when you've birthed people, I take pride in that. Like, I'm a fucking, like that. I'm not going to say I'm a warrior. Like, I'm a lioness.
You're
like,
a warrior.
I fucking take pride in that. But, you know, it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, here's an example of what I mean. A pregnant woman walks onto a subway. Does anyone give her their seat? No one's aware. No one's listening. No one's paying attention. Everyone's kind of on their phone. And a pregnant woman is not feeling great. So she's not going to like, oh God, you know, of course, for fuck's sake. When I was pregnant, I would walk onto a train and I'd like open my shirt and I'd be like, I'm pregnant. Can someone please give me a seat? And every woman I know was like horrified that I had to do that. I was like, I don't expect people to give me their seats automatically. That's woman's problem. Like that's my problem. Okay, I mean, we expect it, right? But we're let down and then we get angry from it. So it's like, but what we can do is we can access our own inner masculine to be like, hi, I'm fucking pregnant. I'm going to shit my pants. Let me fucking sit down. You know? So,
oh my God, can we just make some I'm going to shit my pants, like pregnancy, maternity
I never shit my pants. I think
like,
that's a guy thing. I feel like guys shit their pants a lot.
What is the deal with that?
Maybe some of our friends can like, I feel like
any of the guys in the chat can let us know why I feel like I even just listened to another DeVito, Anthony DeVito, talking about shitting his pants. And he was like saying that I shit my pants probably like once a year or something like that, or two. And he was like, and it's been about 2 years. So I know that like there's a reckoning coming. And I was laughing so hard at that statement / disclosure.
I had a group of guy friends who just had a running list. Who was the last person to shit their pants? And you just didn't want to be on that list. They were dudes. It was all dudes.
Okay.
It was beautiful. I loved it. Wow. So like, I guess, you know, again, sacred comedy isn't here to, and Hathor Communications isn't here to do it better or to be bigger or to take over. Although those things have entered my mind because I sit in the stew of this zeitgeist. And I've marinated in it. I've internalized a lot of it. So I'm fighting that internalizing. It is here to provide an alternative. It's here to find a complementary way to experience comedy in a different way. And we experience comedy at Sacred Comedy in a non-alcoholic setting, which again, no judgment, but I wanted people to feel clear. I mean, listen, I don't have control over what people do before they come to the show, but I start people off with a meditation. You come into the space, it smells good. Like we've got essential oils going. We've got tea, herbal tea. We've got fruit. We've now have Curious Elixirs who's given us their non-alcoholic booze-free beverages for the event. Because I want people who aren't spiritual or who aren't really, you know, maybe they bought a crystal and they're like, ooh, but like, I want people who don't know about energy to come in and to experience it in a different way. And I want them to like not know why. And I lead everybody in a meditation. We open the show just with a very, very basic secular visualization, guided visualization, meditation. And then we just have 3 comics and then they come up, they do their thing. And then during the transitions, we will have you doing astrology updates. Sometimes we have people pull cards. Sometimes I lead everybody in like a connective exercise and all that stuff is all downloaded. All that stuff comes in depending on who's on the show, depending on what time period we're in, depending on the season. So, ooh,
sorry, I just had a fail, but continue.
No, it's fine. So, you know, and the thing is, it's like, I would say my dream, my goal my goal was to just get it done, and we're doing it. So it's like, do I
And
want
how hard is that? How hard was it just to be
to,
like, this has a space in the world and it doesn't exist, and I know I need to, something needs to
yeah.
be done to make this happen so it exists.
We
But
are we're starting the process of building the foundation. So, you know, where I'm tweaking the show as we go along. Like we're just doing it. And I think I'm not going to wait for it to be perfect. But it really just comes down to the feeling that you get when you leave the space. And it's new, and it's hard for people to understand what it is.
right.
So, you know, I was like, do we do typical like goopy kind of like promo kind of stuff, or, you know, we're hitting yoga studios, that kind of thing. And it's funny because like mostly guys come to the shows. But you know, I really want it to be a space for women to feel comfortable. You know, I do remember going to a show, couple of shows. I don't like being called out. I'm very shy about that. It's like, listen, I grew up as a redhead. I've already experienced, like, people called me Medusa, like, and they would freeze in the playground. You know, it's like, I don't love being, you know, little sister, obviously. You know, I don't love it. Now I'm a little bit like better at it. But there was a guy that was kind of looking at me on stage, and he was like saying really just dirty things. And I was like, I just felt gross after watching this man perform. I felt like I had just been low key assaulted. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I want this to be a safe space. Comedy should be shared by everybody. You know, and yeah, there is a level of poking fun that you have to do, but it just felt it just feels very icky. And I'm like, oh, can we just do better or do something else?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, thank you so much again for creating this alternative. I am bad at organizing things, but this is exactly the kind of thing that I need. And even when I was hosting shows, when I hosted a mic that people would come to, I remember my mom coming to when I hosted Discount Disco as an open mic at the Creek in the Cave. And my mom came and she was like, you know, there were actually some very funny comics, but she was like, but I was distracted by this like overwhelming feeling of despair in the room, like this overall energy from the comics that, like, even when their content or their delivery was funny, I was somehow distracted by just feeling the need that everyone in there needed a fucking hug, you know? And even, and I was like, dude, I know, right? It's like really, it's kind of like tragic. And it's funny because I feel like that was something that I facilitated from doing the show for a long time. I mean, not gonna lie, sometimes I would come in there with some real masculine energy and I would be like, I will choke you out with this fucking mic cord. Watch me. I will do it. And I won't even spill my margarita while I do it, you know? And then other times I was like, oh, like that's good, or oh, that's sad, or, you know, sometimes I'm also one of those people that, you know, some people are like, I don't want to, if you're not going to laugh, don't make any other noise. And I've also been trying to get people ever since I started doing ritual theater and, you know, really making theater more in the 3D, like three-dimensional, as opposed to having this like cut off, you know, a proscenium stage, like don't break the fourth wall, that kind of stuff. I'm like, no, I want to hear guttural sounds. I want to hear huzzs. I want to hear all this stuff. I was like, some reaction is better than no reaction. And so I always just try to tell people just be in there and be open, available to like receive and react however you see. I'd rather you groan than make no sound, because no sound, the absence of sound equals death. It literally means it's like the absence of life. Life always makes sound. So I try to break people out of what I call white audience syndrome, okay, or white audience conditioning, where it's just like polite golf clap and nothing in between. I'm like, honey, I'm an actor. I'm a storyteller. Like I didn't come here to like have no response. I was like, if I was going to do this, I could be doing this at home, you know, with like no one there.
I mean, perfect. I mean, this is one of the things that it was hard for me to accept, just because I have my own reservations about the idea of performance or like even theater. But the more I sort of dove into the spiritual aspects of it, it was like, Performance is a sacred thing. Performance is a sacred thing to connect with other people, with storytelling and with just reflections, or even just something beautiful to observe, to engage with. And performance is so old, such an old tradition. Performance is used by a shaman. Performance is used by a shaman, as well as whatever ritual that is being done. And that performance adds to the healing aspect of it, because it's not this empty thing that I think I grew up thinking it was, because my sort of view of performance comes from it's what has been corrupted. So like everything else, it's become a business, entertainment business. And I want to, in what we do at Hathor Communications, like I want to return that to the sacred idea of like connecting with people, not just distracting them, not just taking them out of their lives for a couple of minutes. And I think, although there's nothing wrong with that, I think we can do better. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, oh, we keep making the same movies over and over and over and over. And everyone's like, yeah, but like, that's just how it is. And like, that's what will make money. And that's why they do those things. But it's like, why can't we just try to do different? Like, why can't we just do better? Why, it's, people love to say like, humans are animals. They're going to be fucked up. They're going to be weird. They're going to fight. They're going to like be competitive and stuff. It's like, yeah. And we're also conscious beings. So like we can choose, unless you're saying like we're all idiots, but it's like we can choose to be more conscious about the types of media we ingest, the types of media we make, the types of entertainment we engage with. There's reasons. Everyone has personal reasons for engaging with content, and they're mostly human reasons. So why not make it fun and exciting?
I like this from Stealth Chaos. Don't shit talk about animals.
Oh,
no, we get it.
You're right. I love animals. We are animals, but I'm saying like people will like reduce humans, which is stupid because I love animals. Fucking, I talk to animals all the time. Like reduce humans to being like, oh, we're just animals. Because look at what the world thinks of animals. They're dying off. I mean, they're all dying. So it's like, we don't care about animals. We don't care about life. We don't care about the earth. We don't care about our fucking selves. That's where divine feminine has to come in and be like, oh, no. You should care about yourself.
We are it. You can't hate. That's self-hate.
You can't hate. That. And sometimes I'll do this. Like animals are definitely on a higher. I don't know about higher. I don't love going higher. I love going expanded. I just feel like
they're not limited by the kind of intellectual takeover of consciousness.
Absolutely. And I think that, consciousness exists in everything, and we can connect it. We can connect to it, and that's what I do as a reader. I connect consciousness. I think of it as an energy field. Every energy field has an awareness to it. Everything. My table, it used to be a tree. Fuck yeah. Of course there's awareness in it. Everything has the ability to kind of absorb and push out. But we're just so fucking unhealed. And, again, sacred comedy was a way to bring healing, still is. It's a way to bring healing. And it's hard. People are very stuck in their ways. One of the things I will say is I've noticed, and I don't know if anyone here has noticed, since COVID, everyone has, and like, I'm sure everyone's like, boundaries, narcissist, boundaries, codependent. Like those words have been all over the place, right? And we're well aware, and we're overusing those words just a little bit. But what we've done is we've created these fortresses around ourselves since COVID. We've built them stronger with certain people, and there's almost formed like a little bit of a codependency, but it's been harder to connect since then. I don't know if you've noticed this. Sometimes you talk to people and they're just talking at you. I mean, I'm familiar with that. As a Gemini, it's something I work to avoid and try to listen more. But I think we've gotten out too much of relationships with each other. We have turned inward, and we have built these walls. And now it's just very scary to connect with other people again.
I think that you bring up a really good point. I definitely have experienced some of that, but I think it's actually step one of realizing we haven't actually been relating in actuality for we don't know how long, because on the actual process of quote unquote relating that we have been given, the template, and the role modeling has actually been more what feeds into a narcissist empath paradigm, because it's not been not both people are their own sovereign selves. People are not their own sovereign selves, so they don't realize that when they come to relate with each other, they're not really relating. They're like, oh, I have something, like I need you for protection. I need you for balance. I need you for self-worth, and then you put yourself in a context of like relationship. And one, it's like, oh, if we don't both fit in here with all of our things, then I'll just lob my arm off and, leave that, that baggage outside the circle, and I'll take up less space so that we can both fit in here together. And it's like, no, that's not how it happens. Like it can, but that's, so to me, that's a very, end of Piscean age. The end of Piscean is like the end of the delusion of like, this is all fair and equal, when, and honestly, we're like kind of telling ourselves, and we're in a narrative, and I think that putting ourselves in a bubble that makes us not really comfortable relating with each other is like, we're actually allowing ourselves to have some self-healing, or like even if it's unconscious, we're like, I'm actually making a protective barrier and kind of becoming conscious of my own energy and needs and whatever.
That's
and it
very
makes
true.
me more reticent to like go and engage with other people. But the nice thing is, once people start to do that themselves and have healed some, then they'll kind of, they'll actually navigate towards people that have come to that same level of healing or frequency uplift. And then they'll start having those conversations, actual conversations again.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's very true. It was needed.
I think of it as the difference between, our relating method has been the bastardized Virgo Pisces axis, which when it's not working in like consciously, becomes like they're both kind of like, they're both kind of martyrs, servant. They're just going back and forth, being each other's like nursemaid. And when really, relationship and relating is a Libra thing. And so the Aries Libra axis, which is the I am, the singular individual, and then the we are, like two sovereign individuals working in cooperation to make a unified whole. And so we're like having to kind of like slowly pull like these bands of martyr and martyr empath / narcissist taskmaster out of off of us, so that we can like start to actually get back into the I amness of Aries, which
when
Aries
does that
is
happen
a warrior.
again?
Well, right now we are actually, it's a slow process. It's a slow process. And right now we're getting, for the next 18 months, we're going to be getting a lot of information about that, because the lunar nodes moved into Aries. The North Node is in Aries. I'm having my nodal return. And that means that for anyone that is natally a Aries North Node, Libra South Node, that we spent a lot of lifetimes doing exactly what you said was technically like women, like the feminine's failure, like over many lifetimes of allowing ourselves to take up less space, to do whatever it needed to just cooperate or to live in harmony with others, even though that meant lobbing off whole swaths of ourselves and not forcing the other one to be truthful about their whole selves. Instead, we're like, oh, I'll just take less. Oh, I'll just whatever. Oh, I'll be diplomatic about it.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. Fine. We can make this work. We can make this work. It's like by the end of it, it's like you don't have nothing, and no one has anything, and we've just like let all the stuff, all the real estate be taken up, and no one can even live with themselves. No one can even look at themselves in the mirror. And so we're going to be going back into this I am energy, or we're going to not go back into it. We're going to be getting a lot of relationship, self-value, value downloads about actually this level of relating doesn't feel good. It doesn't have a place in my whatever. I rather just be myself and have less friends, have less relationships, have less
Welcome to my
partnership.
world. Oh God.
Start my own business instead of, having to deal with the partners at my firm or at this or at that, because all the contracts are shit, like, and so it's good. It's and like, what are you willing to go out on your own and do and take the whole brunt of, like, the full force, of the reaction that you might get from other people or from the world at large.
Get the attention. It's good or bad.
Good or bad. Oh, I do want to say, because this says, I need to go and see a man-child about a gout. Okay, so anyway, Ray DeVito, who they were talking about and who a lot of these people know me through, I have been watching this show. This is a great segue. So I just started watching a show called Jamestown, which is on, I don't know what it's on, but it's like one of these maybe BBC produced shows about Jamestown, the Jamestown settlement in Virginia in like 1619. And they're starting it in 1619 because, for those of you that don't know, we actually sent a bunch of people to settle Jamestown and they just disappeared. They died. Yeah. Okay. And then we sent more and they started to get it together. Okay. They formed the Virginia Company, which was a company, done by the English monarchy. Okay. It's like commissioned or chartered by. So for the purpose of settling this place, this new world, and to basically just send resources back. And once they got it to a place of stasis, which was around 1619, they sent the first ship of women over, and the women were known as maids to make wives. And they were going to go there. They were literally bought by the settlers there to basically populate the thing. And also they knew that the need for feminine energy, aside from just the childbearing, was essential, because if you leave these men toiling and working to send these riches and whatever back to the crown at the detriment of their own personal lives and, like emotional lives and whatever, that eventually it would collapse on each other, because it would turn into war, or it would just cannibalize, itself.
Did the women come over willingly? I'm just assuming they did not.
Well, for the most of them, they had otherwise been indentured there. Some of them had been people that were in jail.
That's and there's
only one who chooses to go over there, because she's going to be the wife of one of the dignitaries, the guy who was like the colony recorder. He records all the stuff that goes down, all the contracts that are made, everything that comes and goes. And but then you find out that she actually went over there she went over there to get away from something that she needed to, leave her high station in England. But she still gets to go there and go, have a high station. And she's the only person who has a servant, that's like whatever to her, some young English girl that's, has also been just born into servitude, essentially. So anyway, this show had so much stuff. Oh, gout. That's actually what brought me here. Gout. This is weird. But there's a moment in the show where the guy who's like kind of the town drunkard, he's also the guy who owns the tavern, gets gout. And the guy's like, okay, first off, you need to quit drinking, and you need to steep some leaves of tart cherry, like tart cherry leaves. And so Ray has previously said on the show that after, trying like over-the-counter painkillers and doing all this stuff, we all told him he has to stop drinking if he wants to get rid of his gout. And he goes, okay, well, one person that he finally listened to, I don't know, this was a miracle, told him that he needed to drink, tart cherry and pomegranate juice, and like drink like a huge amount of it, like organic, not with like more added sugar or anything like that. And he said, one, his pain went away, like his symptoms went away almost immediately. And then the second thing was, he was like, I needed to leave the stand, like the comedy club, the stand, even though I was planning to chill. He was like, because I almost felt my like bowels drop out my ass, like again with the shitting themselves.
Oof.
In any case, I was like, yeah, these natural remedies that, by the way, used to be medicine, used to be pharmacology, pharmacon, you know, for years and years and years. And that changeover was only a recent thing. That was only in between basically since after the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, basically when we realized that we can make
women weren't allowed to practice medicine.
Yeah, when women weren't allowed to practice
women weren't allowed to be
medicine
healers.
And you know, they
know
found a
because
way
I
to
watched Outlander.
Oh, see, there you go. So anyway, I just thought that the gout and the fact that this remedy, even though it was just a little side note in this whole overall thing, which I think everyone should go watch Jamestown and get down with the real assness.
I think I started watching that. I think I started.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. And I was like, oh my gosh, this has so many answers and brings up so much stuff.
Did you tell me to watch The Bear? Was that you?
No, that is not me. No.
Okay.
I told you to watch Ted Lasso because I also feel that Ted Lasso is going to save humanity. Okay. So Ted Lasso's with it. Ted Lasso is very well balanced in his masculine and feminine energies, as is the writing, I think. So, yeah. Do we want? Oh yeah, Puritans were very anti-goddess energy. Oh my gosh, they were super anti-goddess energy. They say that on there and everything. She told you. I'm sorry. I did not tell you to watch Cocaine Bear.
Not watching Cocaine Bear.
That is, yeah, even the thought of it makes me
not
ill.
For me.
I know.
I love bears, but
I also love bears. Oh my God, Ted Lasso is not a hack. You take that back, or you're getting fired from my chat. Stealth chaos.
Well, let's. Were there any other questions?
Yeah, were there any other questions? I don't know if you want to talk about. We'll just have to have you back on the show so we can nerd out on some more Gen X stuff. Oh, speaking of nerding out on Gen X stuff, I did just watch. This is actually kind of fit in. I just rewatched the original Point Break the other day.
Oh yeah,
which I loved growing up. Like movie. I used to watch. I'd watch that movie so many times. That's where I #fell in love with Lori Petty. I was like Lori Petty for life.
God, Lori Petty was in that movie.
The shit. This one time I think I've told you, you kind of remind me, I mean, not in all the ways, but there's something, maybe it's just like the Gen X thing. And that I just think she's an amazing human being. Also is the casting director. Gosh, what was her name? Is it also Jennifer? Shit. Oh my God. I'm blanking on her name, but she was a casting director for Girls. She was a casting director for
Jenny Conner.
No, that's the producer. That's but gosh, what is this? Anyway, this chick was super also Gen X, and I had just been in to audition for she did Orange is the New Black and Girls. Okay. She was casting director for both of those things. And I did my first audition for them, and there was a new character introduced to the storyline in the scene that I was reading for. And I left the audition, it was nice, and I was excited about it. And then I saw on Twitter that Lori Petty announced that she's confirmed to play a role in Orange is the New Black. And I was like, oh my God, that character. There's no one else that could play that character than Lori Petty. And I was just like, oh my God, if I get this role, I get to fucking rage out with fucking Lori Petty. And I just freaked out. I was like, Lori Petty for life. I didn't get the role, but I was just like, oh my God, thank God we're bringing Lori Petty back out of, I don't know.
She was in, and now the name's going to escape me. Thanks, weed. But it was in the HBO show. Recently, it was based on a book, like, dystopian future, but she was in it. That was helpful, right? Full of information. I am. Yeah. No. Yeah, I forget what it was, and it wasn't the zombie one. It was a different one.
There's another one. I mean, she's like in a league of their own. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what she had been doing in between League of Their Own and Orange is the New Black. All I know is that I'm really happy that she's back on the scene. Oh, was she in Dune? I don't know. But also in going back to watch that movie, I was like, wow, how much stuff did I get from this that was more than just like Gen X? It was really telling me all the stuff. Like, first off, the Bodhi, obviously, like named after like the Bodhi tree, Patrick Swayze's character, who's like this like surf guru, whatever. I don't know if who here in the chat has seen that. I know. That's why I had to tweet, I miss Patrick Swayze, because I really loved him. But everything about it, and I don't know if it was like really written this way or if it was something that they had to like edit it down to, but they really do a good job at breaking of showing the separation between the feminine like mindset lifestyle, the surfers that are like live off the earth. You don't control the ocean. You receive what she has to give you, and you ride it. You just surrender and accept, and like just stay present and stay in there. Versus this FBI government, whatever, which is like, I impose the law on you and I shoot at you and I, take you down because you're wrong and we're right and all this stuff. And like the surfers are like, it just is, and I also like didn't realize the whatever that's called, the significance of them robbing banks, and Bodhi being the having Ronald Reagan, Ronald Reagan face on, and being like, don't worry, your money's insured, and like, have a nice day.
There was a Nixon as well.
There was Nixon. I don't even remember what the other ones were, but I was like,
there was a Jimmy Carter. There
was Jimmy Carter.
That.
And I was like, damn, like, it's amazing going back and watching the stuff that I got when I was like, I think I technically, maybe I've always been like pretty anti-bullshit, anti-establishment. I was like, but I never knew it. I was very unconscious of that. I just am me. I'm just me and blah, blah, blah. But I was like, oh, wait, maybe a lot of my early programming was also like,
That shit's strong. I mean, I felt like the underdog, and I felt like when I liked a guy, I needed to like charm him, because the only experience that I knew was like like I watched St. Elmo's Fire when I was like 9 years old. Shouldn't have watched St. Elmo's Fire when I was 9 years old. And I rewatched it and I was like, I identified with Kirby, who was like in love with Andy McDowell in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I identified with the guy who was trying to get the girl, and the women were so underdeveloped in that movie. Like there was no character development in that movie. And I was like, fuck, I always thought I had to be like, the stalker. No, just kidding. I did. But also in that movie, it was totally fine that he was a stalker. Like no one even batted an eye. Anyway, it's interesting going over the movies that programmed you as a child, and seeing the irresponsibility of the 80s is just, it's really
but fun. The early 90s was this is where I like really became cognizant, and then
that's where I was making TV for you. No,
I know, that's what I'm saying. I love that. I really would love to hear more about, because that was when I found out. I was like, oh my gosh, not only are we sharing like a psychic history of like past lifetimes of priestessing and like being like these whatevers, but also you were like actually helping make the programming that programmed me as a young person. That like, I'm 10 years younger than my older sister, so I was just like absorbing all things Gen X, most people, I always use the thing, like most people were listening to Raffi when they were young, and I was listening to like Metallica and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like James Hetfield of Metallica is literally the first person I knew I shared a birthday with. I was 4 years old when I found out that he was also an August 3rd birthday, and I didn't know anyone in like my class or my church or anything that had one. So I was like, whoa, James Hetfield and I got like, we have a through line.
Like, that means something.
Yeah. And like other kids were like, who's James Hetfield? And like some of their parents that were younger were like, cool, this kid knows about James Hetfield. Whoa. And also like, oh no.
That's how we feel about our kids in like Joy Division. We're like, you're going to know this. You're going to know. Thank you, Stealth Chaos. Exactly.
Hathor was the ancient Egyptian deity of many realms, mother to Horus, god of the sky, and Ra, the sun god and goddess of beauty, including cosmetics, and sensuality, music, dancing, and maternity.
And humor as well. Dance, humor. I'm taking belly dancing. I don't know if I told you about this.
No, you didn't.
I've been taking belly dancing from a woman named Tehea, who actually created what's known as a sistrum, which is an instrument that was used in ancient Egyptian ceremony. And she was inspired by it. She was inspired by Hathor. She's the one who always says like Hathor. Hit the like button, you fuck cunts. But you know, my sort of meeting her was really perfect. We're going to go to Egypt next year. But yeah, she created this. I have it over here, but we're live.
I want to go to Egypt. Can I also? Can I
no,
my,
she's
my
joining
Egypt
a woman,
fund?
like an academic who's also a healer, who's got a full background in archaeology, history, and everything, and also does healing work. So, which is important because listen, I really do think science has to be a part of this. We just have to kind of like let loose of what science actually means and understand it on a little bit of a deeper level. But the, you know, like Hathor, for her, it's very much, she's very inspired by her. And like our belly dancing classes are hilarious because she's very like, you know, just smile. Like very, she's a little older, so she's very like, you know, be the woman, almost like be the lady, but it's a very powerful way to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. I never learned how to do that, how to like be that feminine in and not in the way that was sort of placed on me, but in a way that I was comfortable with, in a way that I knew that I had inside, but was always too shy to let it out. And only with a couple of lucky people, but that was a very like personal, internal thing. And that belly dancing really kind of helps. And you know, she does reference a lot of Hathor, you know, history, and she's also somewhat of an academic. But I will say she has some movements that she was teaching in the class, and I'm like doing them. But I was like, and I kind of pulled her aside. I was like, where did you get that? Because I downloaded a bunch of movements that I didn't know what the hell it was, and they look exactly the same. She's like, I downloaded them too. So it's like there are these crazy movements that, yeah. And this is what I love. I love when psychic people get together, spiritual people get together, and they experience the same things, or they're receiving the same messages, or they're tapping into the same energies.
Yes.
Oh.
And that's like, that goes back to I'm just writing down to remind myself to send you that video. And also I'm going to ask you about these women academic groups, because that's like where I need to share my.
Yeah, I'll let you know the name of the woman.
Yeah,
the woman who's leading the thing. I
need a place to get into to share what my friend calls my independent scholarship. Like she's like, you're an independent scholar. You know, she's like, you're more than just a researcher. You're like an integrator of the information, you know? And I was like, I was like, I needed a name for that because I didn't have one, but also it's not something that I can just like go out loud, which is also part of.
Have you done channeling work?
I have. You know, I don't remember if I told you this, but
favorite thing ever.
Like, I don't realize that I'm channeling. That's why I need to do the channeling work more consciously and specifically, so I can whatever. Because my whole
natural
life,
human thing.
My whole life has been very like, not realizing that I was like intuiting something that wasn't mine or that wasn't for me. And it was like only in my later years that I started being like, oh, I just got this out of nowhere. I did the test. It's not for me. I'm going to give it to you. You're the person that came in here. You said something. This is whatever. Don't know where it comes from. All I know is that it either needs to come out or it, you know, or it like, you know, it's, she keeps on passing me by. Like, that's how I kind of feel about it. So
yeah,
but
I mean,
it's
with
the Egypt stuff. I grew up, my late stepmom, who also gave me a different brand of femininity that I could be, as opposed to the one that my mother presented me, which was a very by the book, natural, feminine, like looks good, smells good, whatever. My late stepmom, Fran, Shout out to Fran. Yeah, Fran
Oh, shout
was
out to
just
Fran.
she had a very like almost like androgynous like look. I mean, she looked like a woman. She had like big old titties. She had like frizzy hair, blah blah. You know, but like she never felt like the need to like be something like super like hyper feminine in order to feel beautiful. She was obsessed with Egypt. She got my dad obsessed with Egypt. So I would like grow up with all of these like photos of them in Egypt and carpets that they would like buy and send back.
Oh my
Like
God,
she'd
I
be like,
love it.
she'd be like, I would go travel and I would, and she was like, and I would be conscious of how much I was spending because of how much I knew I was going to have to spend to ship carpets back from a bazaar, you know, carpets and trinkets,
this
and
is,
maybe have to save a little bit to
can
like
you,
keep somebody.
okay, I'm backwards on this. So right here, that's Hathor. And then there's Thoth.
Oh,
Chahuti.
wow.
But the Hathor statue comes from Egypt because there's like this person that sells them like on Etsy who's like is in Cairo who sells all these things, and I'm sure they're, who knows, I don't know what kind of quality they are, but I love them and I purchase them and I use them in ritual. I mean, in rituals is kind of a catch-all term, but they're extremely powerful. These, I mean, I think most people have a strong draw to Egypt. I think it's not uncommon, you know, like I love, yeah, I mean, I've done past life work for other people and I've seen some really interesting shit. The stuff that comes forward is really like, you know, it was a very colorful place. You know, we think of it as like I mean, but then you could, you know, everybody kind of knows that they've discovered tombs that were like fully painted in very vibrant colors. But yeah. But I was going to say about for channeling stuff, you know, when you tap into this energy or any of that stuff, I love scientists. I love academics, and I love working with them in terms of like channeling. So it's like, if you're stuck on something, ask me and I'll try to bring it in and we'll try to figure out what it is. And you can find things. I mean, people get inspiration, you know, and I think that's just intuition. People get inspiration in and throughout science discoveries, you know, that I think it is tapping into your intuitive nature. I think we are breaking free from a world that tells us we can't connect to the highest wisdom, or not highest, but the most expansive wisdom, you know, and we're all connected to that main power source in so many places, you know, like we're all super connected to it. It's what I see when I connect to other people. You know, I really don't see it the way a lot of other readers do. Like I do see it more like I almost see like neon, especially inside the body. It looks neon to me. Like if I could see Kundalini moving up, and I saw how it looked, it like it stirs in the, how it was described to me. It's almost like your pelvis. I'm going a little random, but it's like an upside down umbrella. So it's like catching everything. So your hips are extremely important with that. And your Kundalini awakening, it helps awaken. Dance is very important for the feminine. Yoga is great for the masculine.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I
never thought of it that way.
That came from a download, and I was exactly a coiled snake, because when I looked at it, I was doing the movement and I was like going into a trance, I guess. And I could see how it was stirring in the pelvis, and the energy was so can't speak. It was cycling up the spine, but it was like lighting up the vertebrae as it went. And it looked like neon to me. It looked like an old neon sign with like light bulbs, the way it was coming up. And I was like, oh, that's why people have seen this before. People have seen it. And that's why the image of the snake comes through, because people have seen it in dreams. I mean, the symbolism is there's archetypes. I mean, people see the same things. There's a lot of information we're all getting from higher planes of existence that we're very much connected to. And it's sprinkled out into the world, and some people will act on it and some people will know the idea. That's why, like, you'll have an idea for something and you'll see someone else making it and you're like, fuck, that was my idea. yeah, it was an idea that came to both of you, but that person might have had the wherewithal to sort of bring it into, or to manifest it like physically.
Right.
But
that's why I always tell
tangent.
people, like, that connection between, you know, like, everyone has a Leo archetype, right? We all have this
Oh, yeah.
feeling of divine,
I'm
like,
so sorry. I
specialness.
have to sorry everybody, my teenagers are waiting to be driven to the mall. That's
Oh,
that's
no.
what I really do. I'm not a
Okay.
creative like
We can
goddess
we
or
can wrap this
person.
up. But this
No,
is like
I
a good
mean,
thing
yeah.
for the like Virgo is the thing that brings Leo energy that helps manifest it. It's having the process of bringing that which is within the heart and what makes you, like, you know, go on stage and share your creative individual self-expression with zeal and playfulness, and because it just like brings you joy. But then the crafting of making that a repeatable, you know, or making a ritual that can repeatedly bring that, whatever the inspiration is in Leo, to the world outside of yourself, and craft it so that it is a valuable offering or service or product, or, you know, something. So anyone who is in here, first off, happy Virgo season. Secondly, anyone in here who's like, oh, I hate being a Virgo the virgin, blah blah blah. No, it is like the most blessed sign. You don't even get to enjoy all the fruits of all the signs that come before that until you really dig down into the meaningfulness and the purposefulness of Virgo and priestessing and ritual and making everything like a thing. So anyway, I will tell you about my I'll tell you about my Egypt stuff and through line on another thing, and we'll certainly save it also for the ritual for the Sacred Circle virtual.
Yes.
So remind me again: is the virtual thing a female only?
It is now a women's circle, women and sort of non-binary, and that there's
you wanted to start a second one. You're going to start a separate one for the men? I was going to
start a second one, and then I was like, I need to get a job. And also a lot of the guys I knew who I thought would be great for it were very hesitant because I wanted to get some comedians. Actually, Matt Ruby. Do you know Matt Ruby?
I don't.
He's a comedian and he does some like stuff making fun of like meditation and stuff. And I was going to have him sort of help lead the men's circle. Because Lissa Mandel was like, you're not qualified to lead a men's circle. I'm like, you're absolutely right. Let me pull back my energy and not focus on this right now. So Matt was like, are you telling me I should be starting a women's circle? You know, it's kind of like, or like a men's circle. I think men need to start the men's circles. And I think there's some really wonderful men's circles that are doing great work. But I realized in terms of my own energy level, we're just going to do the women for now. Because I found there was a dude in our last circle, and no offense, he was a perfectly nice guy, but you know, I think it shifted the dynamic, and the women were kind of coming in expecting a little bit of a safe space, and then his sort of needs and questions tended to dominate the whole thing. And I'm not gonna, you know, and when someone is talking about like the healing that they need and their bad life and stuff, the first thing that me and all the rest of the women were like, oh, don't worry. And it changed the entire dynamic into a support group for this guy. And while he deserves all the support in the world, that was not the place for it. That's not what the intention was. Right. And I felt like it became and even though I set a container that was like, here are the rules, don't speak, you know, just be aware of your energy with other people. He was not listening to that part. So it is going to be just for women. All female comics and non-binary comics are invited to come for free. But everyone else can pay $15 or $20, whichever feels right to them, whichever they can afford, to be a member and to do that monthly. And they'll get discounts on the show. They get discounts on readings with me because I'm very expensive. And so It's a great thing. Again, I don't know that we have any women here in the comments, but you guys should go start a men's circle.
Start a men's circle. The first person that popped in my brain of like who we could get to, like, I don't know if we could get them, but I would certainly reach out to them in whatever way that I could to be like, Duncan Trussell, could we please get you to like mediate or facilitate a men's circle just to get it started off?
Mike Kaplan is pretty great too.
Oh yeah, he's a good one. He gives me Moby vibes for some reason. Maybe it's the glasses. Funny. I don't know. But
yeah, he did a sacred comedy show in I think he did our third one. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Also that whole thing about like taking up the space, you know, monopolizing the energy and something. I got to say that I was exactly that same person when I started doing ritual theater. That was very, you know, ritual theater of the African continuum. And you had to learn the ritual theater process before we could even get into the fact that it was doing a lot of social justice theater, but you have to go all the way back to where the dichotomy happened. And so in talking about our own experiences of race and privilege and all this kind of stuff, and we have a whole mixed bag. I was that white woman who started just talking about my experiences and like, this is that, and that is this, and blah, blah. And everyone is just receiving and like whatever politely. And then I had to, over like a few times, I realized that I had to self-correct. Like this isn't my space to dominate in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And it's totally okay. It's part of the process. Yeah, exactly. It's totally part of the process. Exactly. But I literally just had like that's how it is. That's how opening your awareness to things that you never considered does, and it has to be done in a safe space, and it has to be done
in a safe space. And I think sometimes people are just too tired to say something, you know, like I was like, oh, well, I was grappling with it for a while. I was like, it's my responsibility to tell this guy. I can't just complain about it. I have to be honest with him. But it was very delicate because he also knew a couple of my friends. And I was like, it's just too much. Like it was too much. And so I realized where I could have done better was just set more of an intention about what I wanted out of that space. And I didn't want to push men away. I didn't want men to feel like I was pushing. I didn't want them to feel like I was pushing them away. But the truth is, I needed to. I needed to for this circle. And I was like, I didn't want to admit that to myself. So that was kind of my bad. I was kind of covering up my own real feelings because I don't like being exclusive. Like I don't want to exclude anybody. Really. But you know, you know, at the same time, like if you need a session, bro, just make an appointment.
Yeah, if you need a session,
make an appointment.
Pay
more than $15.
Yes, please do that. Thank you again so much for being here. Welcome. I can't wait for the show again, September 21st at SIP Studio, Jersey City. I have a link in my bio of at Elise Cara on Instagram. Use promo code Elise for a discount. Yeah, I'm in total agreement. This is like super amazing. Next time we will get into, like I said, more Gen X hilarious amazingness, because I really think it's really important that people tune into what it is that really spoke to them before the socialization process started to mute your own inner voice and own inner interest. That's like a really wonderful place to start for everybody. And the idea that before we can fully integrate and be totally non-exclusive in the programming, we do kind of have to set up some separate camps so we can all be accountable for our own inner healing and expansion and integration before we like try to interface with each other. We can't push it. Absolutely. And everyone's on their own journey, and you know, I do want to come together with the masculine very much. It's how we're going to make it better. But we have to kind of scrap our way up a little. And humor helps really like go like it just shakes everything up so we can just like get rid of the blockages and just like make more space to receive, which is just like a really awesome thing. So I guess this went all the way woo, I don't know, but also blessed full moon to you again. And this is really exciting. And please tell us one more time where it is that we can find you on all the things, social media, if they want to donate to the show or to Sacred, you know, if they're not local. that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So you can find us at thesacredcomedy.com on our website, and Sacred Comedy on Instagram and TikTok. I was just trying that out for a little while. As far as donations go, I don't have a spot for it, but maybe I should get one. I
get
would
one on
prefer
there ASAP.
I know. I would love for, and then my podcast is the Self-Consciousness Podcast, and that you can find anywhere you listen to your podcast. It's an irregular podcast. Irregular, not really. It's not all the time. I do it when I can, but it's really fun. And then you can find me at jenniferway.com for sessions. If you're curious about how what it's like getting a reading from me, I highly recommend it. I'm really good. That's my cell.
I love it.
Yay.
And that's amazing. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, tell us again what the dates are for the next virtual.
Sure. So the next one is September 10th. And it's just once a month before the new moon. We do it on a Sunday evening around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we do it. And then the next one after that is going to be October 15th. And then we have more in December and November. But we've got our shows coming up in Jersey City in September. We've got a show in November in Jersey City. Then we've got 2 shows in December, one in Hoboken and one also in Jersey City.
Amazing. So, and on the lineup for this September 21st, we have the wonderful Megan Lally. We have
we have Maggie Lally, Christiana Jackson, who's amazing. And we have Erin Wahlberg, is a local Jersey City gal. And then we have you.
Yay. Yes. And I will be doing astrology set breaks for the Sacred Comedy. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. And just thank you for giving me a platform to test this, integrating my former comic self, comedy self, my new, the only comedy that I'm able to do now. And without that kind of like specificity of what kind of programming it is or what kind of platform it is, it's hard to like get it in there and it not sound like a fucking TED Talk. It just sounds weird. And I'm like, I would really like this to be Comedy Friends, but I feel like I'm having to give you too much background on it for, like we're not going to even have time for like jokes and punchlines. So I think it's going to be, I know it's going to be an amazing time. And again, thank you so much for doing this. And we will see you next time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Elise Edwards Experience. Again, please follow Jennifer on all the things. Please buy some tickets. Please tell your friends. Please tell your ladies, okay? Bring the ladies. Let the ladies just go and have their own day out, okay? Bring yourself too. So until next time, friends, thank you so much. And please follow, subscribe, share, and all the bless.
Thank you.
Peace.
Oh, how do I leave? Oh, bye, everybody.